everybody, it's me again, and I just put up part one. Like I said, if y'all will watch that, please watch this one because the other things that took place were really sad. The next thing that took place, actually there were a few things that happened that I'd heard about, and then when I went and did a little bit of research on it and looked up more stuff and details, I didn't see those things. But that just saying, you know, a lot of creepy things happened during the making of this film, all three of the films. So anyway, the next thing I wanted to tell you about was I think after movie 3 came out or was released. Do you remember the guy in part 1 where, you know, the woman they contact to come to their house, and she's got two guys with her that films. There's two men with her, and one of them, his name in the movie was Ryan. He ended up flying somewhere out of state, and when he was in coach, and somebody on that plane recognized him, and they said, "Oh, you're Ryan from Poltergeist." He's like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Well, we're gonna upgrade you to first class." So he goes back there, and supposedly he makes a statement to somebody, or he claims later that he made the statement, "I shouldn't be on this flight, something's going to happen." Well, they didn't even take off, the plane crashes. The woman that was sitting beside him in first class dies, I believe, and the person that ended up getting put in his seat in coach that he was originally sitting in was killed. And it was later like, wow, you know, what happened? How did this happen? If I had not been recognized, I would have died. And that's crazy, you know, for things that just happen like that. Also, you know, the woman, the little bitty tiny woman from part 1 that comes and helps them get Carol Ann back after she's gone into that other dimension. The little tiny woman, she talks real sweet and tiny voice to, you know, well, she, I believe, is in part 3. During the filming of part 3, she gets a phone call, her mother's passed away. So they get her on a plane, they fly her to where her mother is and everything. Well, they had some, you know how they take photos and stuff of the cast and all that. Well, they had gotten some photos developed, and they showed them to her. And in one particular photo of her that they took, there is and I will post this picture on my Facebook page. So if y'all know me, and y'all know my Facebook page, look at the picture I post later on of this woman. I can't remember her name, but I will look up her real name. Y'all know who I'm talking about, the little itty bitty woman from part 1. But anyway, she comes back, and later it's found out that the exact time that this photo was taken was the exact moment that her mother passed away. And in that particular photo, there is like a shadowy, like a light that starts, like in the picture, it starts like right here, comes across her face, and they can't figure out what it is. They ask the photo place, "What is this?" And they have no explanation. So it's really freaky. You know, they find out that that picture was developed at the precise time her mother passed away. That's kind of scary. All right, now the big main thing about this movie that I believe falls under the category of curse was the little girl. And I never knew this. I never heard about this. And years ago, I was watching Poltergeist Part 1, and I thought to myself, you know how, like, years after a movie comes out, like a lot of the 80s movies, they'll be like the child stars from the 80s, where are they now? What happened to them? Well, I got to thinking to myself, I wonder what happened to little Carol Ann, that's her name, Carol Ann. I wonder what happened to her. And I remember thinking I was going to look her up to see, like, was she in anything else? And what intrigued me to do this video today was after a show I watched last week. And when I saw the end of this show, I cried. I'm gonna cry again. Anyway, the little girl Heather O'Rourke that played Carol Ann in this entire franchise, she passed away at the age of 12 before they even finished filming Poltergeist 3. Her mother was speaking in the show and just talking about the whole thing surrounding her, and people were noticing, like the director James Caan and other people were noticing that she was a tiny girl, little blonde headed girl, cute as she can be. She in part 3 she was starting to physically look different. Of course, you do when you get older, but her face, they said, had kind of blowed up. Her neck, and she just didn't look right. They noticed she looked sick. It was later, the mother later, after everything, was speaking in the show I watched, that one day her daughter gets up getting ready for school. She tells her, you need to have some breakfast. You didn't eat anything yesterday. You don't look like you feel good. You don't look good. You need to eat something. And before all this, she had been diagnosed with something. I'll have to go back and look and see what that something was, but it was later found out that she was misdiagnosed. That she was diagnosed with one thing, and they gave her medication for her treatment, and it ended up just running all out inside. It came out of wherever it was supposed to have done good at, and came out and went all throughout her system, and supposedly that was what made her so sick that day. So she says that what was so eerie, that she felt like later her daughter had a premonition. That morning she wakes up not feeling good. She says, you need to eat something. She made her some toast. She ate it, and she said, right before she leaves to go to school, she looked at her and she said, Mommy, I love you. But she had happened to have made a statement before about a computer. She said, I need to learn how to do this. She's like, well, her mother's like, well, why? She said, because one day I might not be here. And she said later that statement haunted her. Okay, so anyway, she has her breakfast, her toast. She goes to school. The mother knows she's not feeling good, and later on she gets a call saying something about, you need to get to the hospital. She's there. Supposedly she had gotten bad off before the mother was even told, or something like that. So, but she was 12 years old when she passed. And it said that a spokeswoman identified the cause of death as an intestinal stenosis, a severe bowel obstruction that she must have had since birth. It caused an infection that brought on septic shock, which prompted full cardiac and pulmonary arrest. She had been rushed to the hospital complaining of oh, I can't say it. Anyway, stomach pains. So, yeah, that was really sad. That was real sad. And when the director, James Caan, found out about it, he was devastated. He said that he was completely dumbfounded, devastated, couldn't believe this had happened. What in the world type of a thing. And he said that he didn't want to have any more to do with the movie. After all the deaths and after all the stuff that took place, he's like, no more. But he said that the people in Hollywood insisted that the film be continued, that they wrap it, but he was devastated, and that they continued on with it. And the mother had later said that once the film was released and it was put in theaters, she went, and people in the audience she had overheard them making comments about Carol Ann that she didn't like, and she just broke down. And I hate that for her. I hate that happened. I never, ever, ever heard of this. Being a child of the 80s myself, and loving movies, I know my actors, I know my movies, and I love movies, and anybody that knows me personally knows I love movies. And I get so engrossed in movies that I'll watch them repeatedly to the point that I can recite every word along with them. But anyway, that's just my thing. But yeah, this was a tragic, sad story to me and to others, and it just really kind of leads you to believe, wow, there's a curse. And there's other movies that this has been talked about. The Exorcist countless others that I'd have to look up, and I want to do that. I want to look up the stuff that happened. I want to find out, the details on them and tell about them. I want to make a video on these other movies that have a curse, and it's very interesting, very sad, very tragic, but interesting. But I hope you checked out part 1 of this video. Please check out this one too. I guess if you're hearing me say that, you have. So please subscribe to this channel. Please leave me comments. It makes my day. Doing this is so much fun. I love it very, very much. It's what fills my time, and it's just one of the most interesting things I've ever done. But anyway, I will post that picture of the woman from the movie with the weird thing in her photo. And please check that out. If you check this out, look at that on my Facebook page, and I'll see y'all there. Bye.